Hey guys and girls, and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be looking at Playing with Power, a book that came out in late 2016 and features information on the Nintendo Entertainment System, a look at the launch games, some tips and tricks, and some handy guides for a selection of games. Now moving to the book, we're just going to have a quick look at the front cover, which as you guys can see takes inspiration from an NES cartridge. And it's got really nice attention to detail as well when we got this along here, which is nicely embossed along with the arrow. We've got the top of the book, which resembles the top of the cartridge, complete with the sticker going over the top. And along the bottom here we've got the PCB connector, which is a really nice touch. And along the back here where it's got all the screw holes. So all in all, a very nice level of attention there, and believe it or not guys, this is just a slipcase. The actual book cover itself, it's a little bit more simplistic, a little bit more plain, but it doesn't need to be over the top. As you can see, it's one half of an NES controller, and if we look on the back, it's the other half. Black and white, not black and red, but you know, we've got the spine here, which is very nice, very simple. Right, let's take a little look inside. And the first thing you're greeted with when you open the book is Playing with Power, which, as everyone in North America should know, takes its inspiration from Nintendo Power magazine. And along the bottom here, we've got all the games for which the guide in this book. In fact, if you're a lucky owner of an NES Classic Mini, then all the games are featured on this. So this book makes a very nice companion piece for it. Right, so let's open up the pages. And first thing we got is a little foreword and a little introduction. Next up we've got the inside story of the NES. Now this was a feature which was originally in volume 22 of Nintendo Power magazine and pretty much focuses on the internal workings of the NES. Next up we've got the launch games for the NES. It pretty much covers all the North American launch games, from baseball to Clu Land, Duck Hunt, Excite Bike, Gyromite, Ice Climber, Pinball, Super Mario Brothers, Wild Gunman and Wrecking Crew. Moving on. Now we've got the first of our many guides in this book. In fact, the first few aren't quite so in depth, so we can just breeze through them, but the later ones are a little bit more detailed, so we won't be going into too much detail with those. You can see we had Excite Bike, and we got Ice Climber, Super Mario Brothers. So it's got a selection of maps here. It hasn't got all of them. And we come to our first feature, the early period, 1986. I'm assuming first batch of games that were released for the NES, and they range from Donkey Kong to Donkey Kong 3, Mario Brothers, Popeye, Gumshoe, and Urban Champion, to name but a few. Moving on, we've got guides for Balloon Fight, Donkey Kong Jr. These guides aren't particularly long, so with the exception of Donkey Kong Jr. that's got a bit of detail to it, but not a lot of detail. Alright, the next section is an inside look at games packs. This pretty much has a look at the inside of the cartridges, and much like the NES spread, pretty much gives you all kinds of information about how the cartridges work, which I think is very cool. Moving on, we've got guides here for Mario Brothers. It's not very long and shouldn't take too much space. In fact, it actually doesn't. Yeah. Next section is the middle period, 1987 to 1989. And here it covers games such as Pro Wrestling, Kid Icarus, The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Punch-Out, Rad Racer. In 1988 we had Ice Hockey, Donkey Kong, I don't know why that's there again, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt cartridge, and of course Zelda 2. And 1989 we got Dance Aerobics, Cobra Triangle, Dragon Warrior, Faxanadu, I think I got that right, and of course the ever popular Tetris and the legal episodes that it took to get that on the NES in the first place. Moving on, we have guides for Kid Icarus, Droid. Now this itself isn't a particularly long guide, but it's got all the information and maps that you need to get through the game. And our next feature is classified information. This is pretty much your tips and tricks section. It's literally just these 2 pages, so there's not a lot to go through, so we can just move on. Our next series of guides, which are now going to get quite in depth, The Legend of Zelda, Mario Brothers 2, which is covered in great detail in this book actually, but we're not gonna go through that. We'll just skim past this because there is a certain section coming up after this, which is an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto on the making of Super Mario Bros. 3. Next up, we have a guide for Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. In the next section, we have the late period from 1990 to 1994. Now I assume this was where releases started to dry up a little bit with the release of the Super Nintendo. However, those who stuck with their NES got Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Spike V-Ball, Snake Rattle and Roll, NES Play Action Football, Star Tropics, Dr. Mario. This is the first time I've ever seen this actually. Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt and World Class Track Meet. 1991, NES Open. 92, Yoshi. 1993, Yoshi's Cookie, Kirby's Adventure, Tetris 2. And finally, in 1994, Zoda's Revenge, Star Tropics 2, and Wario's Woods. Very, very nice. Now, the next series of guides, Super Mario Bros. 3. Tropics, which, if I recall correctly, you actually need the manual in order to play this game, so this is more of a necessity rather than an accessory for that game. And before I move on, just want to go quickly back 1 page to the Counselor's Corner. This is pretty much probably, from what I assume, a frequently asked questions section for a handful of games, namely Metroid, Super Mario Bros. 3, Star Tropics, Zelda 2, and The Legend of Zelda. Moving on, we have the last few guides for, just turn the pages over quickly, shouldn't get there too long, there we go, Dr. Mario, Ninja. Pretty much it guys, that's the near enough the end of the book. You got yourselves a little advert there for Super Mario 3D Land and Majora's Mask 3D, very nice. And the final section is the NES peripherals page, pretty much covering the most popular peripherals, namely Rob, the NES Max controller, the NES Advantage, the Zapper, the Fourscore, the Satellite, and the Power Pad. Now this one in particular, the hands-free controller, is really interesting, as you can see, it allows people with disabilities the ability to play NES games. And obviously we got ourselves the credits page with a nice, pretty much it guys. So yeah, Playing with Power, it's a very, very, very meaty book, and the recommended retail price, or at least in the UK anyway, is £25. But if you're like me and you're very lucky, you can get it for a lot cheaper than that. So there we go, Playing with Power.